Much of the readings for the 18th Sunday in Ordinary Time really focus on, living for the things of eternity versus the things of earth. And they zero in on the buildup of wealth in this life, I think largely because wealth really is this symbol of self-reliance. It is a symbol of worldly reality. So, from the book of Ecclesiastes, Koheleth, all is vanity. Basically, what it's saying is everything in this life passes away. We pass on, and then, what of the things that we've accumulated in this life? And Jesus talking about the inheritance, I think it's very instructive in some way that, the man comes to Jesus and says, tell my brother to share the inheritance with me. And Jesus opens up this parable after he says, who am I to judge this case for you? And he opens up, the one who, who had such a great harvest, he didn't know what to do with it. He built bigger barns, and he felt so good about himself in this life that he said, just sit back, eat, drink, and be merry. And God comes into his life and says, what are you going to do when you die tonight? And all of this was for nothing, a wake-up call of sorts. Again, Ecclesiastes, everything is passing away, and God coming into this man's life, it all goes away. It means nothing in eternity. So I said that there's something instructive even about the inheritance. I love hearing the stories of professional athletes in particular, scoring a $200 million contract, and a lot of times the commentary is something like, they set their family up for the next the next life or whatever it is. They'll be able to take care of their families on this, and it's like, yeah, they will in this life, but then sometimes they'll say, they'll take care of their families for generations to come. It's like, for generations in this life. Ultimately, all the money in the world isn't going to set anyone up for eternal life. And so just the call on this, it is about money. It's not just about money, but it is about money, and just how we use it and how we place our trust in, worldly things, seeking our own security here and now at the expense of our security, in heaven. And ultimately, what is it that our heart truly treasures? The same sort of thing, what melts your heart? What is it that you've enclosed your heart around? And it ought to be Jesus. It really ought to be. It ought to be eternal life. It ought to be the pursuit of, ultimate satisfaction with Him in heaven. But, nothing in this life, no volume of anything, about wealth or otherwise, is going to, bring about the satisfaction that we long for. So, the scriptures lift our hearts to something higher and call us to a purification, a detachment from worldly things here this weekend, and ultimately that we might set our sights, set our storehouse of our hearts on the things of eternity, that we might find the treasure of Jesus there deep in our hearts.